The Wicker Man is a masterpiece, and frankly, I love it more than my wife's boyfriend. Don't tell.
The fuck you saying?
No, please don't. Ah! And no, I'm not talking about the fucking 2009 one. That movie sucks. That movie is horrible. That's a bad movie.
Not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Oh, my eyes! Eyes! Ah! Ah!
The themes are apparent, but they're still not really in your face. They still use a good amount of subtlety. And the main character feels realistic in his motivations and in his feelings in certain situations. And well, I'm not going to say that the main character is likable. He's very unlikable unless you're part of that small minority of people.
We're a deeply religious people. Religious? With ruined churches. No ministers, no priests.
But for the most part, the character feels very well rounded, and he feels like an actual person, and less like an item for a script or someone that's just there for a checklist. But I think for the most part, most of his motivation and his background makes sense with the way that he reacts to certain situations and sees certain people and certain things in certain lights.
Corn rigs and barley rigs and corn rigs are bonny.
The film follows a British police officer after he gets an anonymous letter from an island off the coast of Scotland. He then goes to the island in search for this 12-year-old girl that went missing. After he arrives, he discovers some strange activities that go on, the whole maypole thing, and the evening he's there, there's people lightsaber dueling. Yeah. The next day, he walks through the town looking for any kind of evidence on what exactly happened to the girl. Throughout the day, he sees different activities that the townspeople participate in, like the maypole thing and the dancing around the fire. But later, he meets up with the God King of the universe himself, Christopher Lee. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's Christopher Lee, but he's just playing a guy named Lord Summerisle. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's a very good-willed man, he's very calm and collective. He clearly cares a great deal about his community and about the people that live there. The next day, he does some more snooping around the town and finds pictures showing that the crops indeed have failed this year.
Well, that's it. The crop's failed. And it's ruin. Ruin and the crop's failed.
After having an interesting night, you'll know if you watch the movie. He goes to the library and reads up on what they might do if the crops fail. Later, he decides to go back to the mainland and get reinforcements, but he realizes that his plane won't start, so he decides to go and find the girl on his own.
Well, I'll just have to find Rowan Morrison myself.
Later, the town just seems to get weirder and weirder. A man in a very interesting looking costume ends up chasing him around and eventually leading him to a meeting place. At this meeting place, essentially, Christopher Lee's character, Lord Summerisle, explains, where they're going to do it and when it's going to happen, and he pretty much confirms that the sacrifice is going to happen. He then does some more stooping around, as cops do, and later finds out that they are making man-shaped bread dishes, as well as the townspeople, revealing their costumes and their roles to play, After getting back to the inn, the townspeople try and drug him, so then he'll just sleep through the whole May Queen thing, and so then he just won't bother them. But later he sees the innkeeper, and he bashes his head in and steals his costume. Yeah. After he steals his costume, he is forced to dance and play the fool. So basically, once he's finished with the dance session, he goes to the appointed place and he sees the girl. As soon as he sees her, he grabs her, and they run through the caves, but just to be cornered by Lord Christopher Lee reveals to him that it was all a trap. That they knew the entire time that he was going to try and sneak in and try and save her, or quote unquote save her, and that he in a way fell into their trap, and now he's stuck and he's cornered. And now they take him to be burned inside of the Wicker Man. The Wicker Man premiered in December 3rd, 1973, and somehow only made $76,701. You might be wondering how that's even possible, especially if you know the background behind the Wicker Man and how it honestly became a pop culture icon over the next 30 years. But a big reason why is the subject matter, is that it's a horror movie about a cult, and another big reason is the way that the film ended, how our main character ended up being, murdered and burnt to death. The studio actually demanded a brighter cut where the rain put out the fire, but the director wasn't having it, which I'm so happy didn't happen. But sadly, because of how well the film did, it still didn't, garner any kind of attention until it was honestly too late. But I think especially now, with the remake and the sequel that have come out, which are not nearly as good, I think especially now it's important to appreciate what this movie was and how this film was kind of a stance on counterculture. And that's why The Wicker Man is a masterpiece. Also, go listen to the soundtrack. It's really good, and it's really good, and it's on all of these websites. Go listen. Bye. That's it.